Maharashtra Revenue Minister Eknath Khadse made a visit to Latur earlier today to inaugurate a irrigation project. Now, the project will supply 30 lakh litres per day water to Latur. But the irony is that this project, for the minister to land in his chopper, 10,000 litres of water was wasted. Haman is joining us with more on this story. Haman, what happened here? 10,000 litres wasted how for Khadse?
That is the latest headline that we're getting to know, is that 10,000 litres of water was used to create a helipad for Mr. Khadse, who was visiting one of the worst drought-affected areas, which I remember Latur is seeing in many decades. 10,000 litres of water. We also told that he was there to take stock of the situation of the drought, and also remember the third train that was carrying water. Remember, here are people, who for days together have not received water, and at a time when the state is reeling under one of the worst droughts that has ever seen, 10,000 litres of water that was wasted just to create a helipad. And also remember, Mr. Khadse also heads the Maharashtra State Drought Relief Committee. So he being at the helm of the committee that is supposed to be supervising one of the worst drought affected, you have 10,000 litres of water that was being wasted just to create that helipad. So yes, angry voices among the residents, and definitely so, because at a time when you have residents of Latur who've been traveling 10 to 15 kilometers to just get some source of water, and also at a time when tanks are running shortage. Remember, the water intake or the water requirement of Latur stands at around 25 mld, and so far you have trains that are transporting water for the last 3-4 days. And just at this time, you have Mr. Khadse, remember, a very senior BJP leader who visited this, and 10,000 litres of water was simply used just to create that helipad. And also, he also heads the Maharashtra State Drought Relief Committee. So yes, a very cruel and a very shocking development coming at this point in time.
Well, does Eknath Khadse really know what happened here? Has he or his team responded on this? Someone who took the call that this is how the helipad must be maintained before the minister arrives?
Well, so far we have not heard neither from Mr. Khadse nor anyone from the BJP Sena government as of now. Remember, this call could either have been taken by either the government authorities or the municipal council, which was responsible for his landing in Latur. But at this point in time, we do not know who took the call exactly, and whether. And so far, we have even not heard from neither Mr. Khadse nor the government as of now about the 10,000 litres of water being wasted just to create a helipad.
All right, so what we do know at this point, Herman, is the fact that Eknath Khadse was on a visit to Latur. He was there to look at an irrigation project, to visit a dam, and in the process, his chopper landed at this helipad where 10,000 litres of water was used to ensure that there is no dirt flying around. Now, Herman, why was this helipad specifically used? Do we know what is the nearest airport or any other facility that could have been used in a much more efficient manner?
Well, that is the strong moments that were given to understand as to why was this temporary helipad, what was the need to be created when, there was an airport just a few kilometers away. Why was that not route chosen? Was it because of some kind of, closeness to the area that he was traveling to? Those are some of the strong moments and questions being raised as to why the nearest airport was not used at a time, because remember, the state is seeing, the area, this particular, the Marathwada region is seeing in 2 decades one of the worst droughts that it has faced. And why was the need to create a temporary helipad where 10,000 litres of water was used when they could have very well used the nearest airport that was available to them?
In 10,000 litres of water, Herman, you've been reporting from the region of Latur for over a week now. Tell us how much of help could this have been for the common residents of that place?
Well, what we are told is that, close to around 500 families could have benefited from this water. Remember, in the last 1 week or so that we've been reporting, we've noticed that tankers in areas have been coming once in 8 days. People have been traveling for 10 to 15 kilometers to receive water. And remember, the water that they're traveling for is not potable water. That is another situation altogether. And at the time that this 10,000 litres of water could have been used for around close to 500 families, remembering the 25 mld is the total requirement of Latur. And so far that everyone has been talking of the 3 trains that have brought water, it is just 7.5 mld of water that has reached so far. So clearly, very much more needs to be done. And also, who better than Mr. Khadse, who heads the Maharashtra State Drought Relief Committee? He heads the committee. He knows the situation. Now, we do not know at this point in time if he was aware of the water that was being wasted or not. One will have to wait for a confirmation from the minister himself. But what we do know is that water was being wasted for
just stay with us. I've also got Mr. Surendra Srivakar on the phone line with us. So, if you've heard of the kind of wastage of water that just happened to ensure that a minister's chopper lands easily and conveniently in Latur, it's really shocking.
Well, if it is true, then I think it's a gross negligence on the part of the minister and the people who are creating this helipad. They should realize that Maharashtra is in the crisis of water right now, and I think every drop of water must be saved. And I think we, particularly the politicians and the ministers, must be more sensitive towards people.
Do you think the larger problem, this also reflects a larger problem that people don't have an understanding of how to go about saving water and how serious the issue is right now?
Well, that's another problem because government has no clear policy guidelines to help people to educate and understand how to contribute towards this problem. And what are the solutions, short-term as well as long-term solutions? I think government must be very careful and must come out with the guidelines. How an ordinary citizen understands this, saves the water and understands, and maybe how can you recharge the water sources?
And this is exactly what came up during the IPL hearing as well, isn't it? That how prepared is the government? What is its plan to tackle this drought crisis? Now, if the minister who's in charge of looking into this issue, and his team behaves in such a manner, then what can we expect of this government, isn't it, Mr. Srivastava?
Well, that's what I said earlier, that government is completely insensitive to all these issues, and it's a responsibility, primary responsibility of the government to take care of the natural resources and provide the minimum life support things to the people. That's how they have been elected, and that's the purpose of the government.
Right.